Hello, and welcome to our seminar. For those of us in our 30s, 40s, or even early 50s, a lot has changed compared to when our parents were our age. For example, nowadays, we dine out and entertain ourselves more frequently and lavishly. Most middle class households have at least two relatively new cars. We also travel abroad more often, and our homes are more luxurious with more stuff. Despite this, or I should say perhaps because of this, many of us are questioning whether we'll be able to maintain the same lifestyle when we retire. We also worry about leaving a legacy for our children. If you consider that today a house complete with furnishings can cost almost 100 times more than it did for our parents, it may seem that we are living beyond our means. In fact, today, most of us have very poor savings habits compared to our parents and grandparents. We are spending more, accumulating more debt, and saving less. This seminar will show how middle class consumers can accumulate and preserve wealth that until now they have only dreamt about. This seminar is ideal for individuals who are 10 years or more from retirement. Now, this seminar deals with moderately complex financial planning principles that you must become familiar with. So, give us your undivided attention and you will not be disappointed. By the end of it, you will also appreciate why sometimes simple plans do not always solve complex problems. At Caribbean Wealth Preservation Research Center, we are dedicated to providing thoughtful consumers with an independent forum to conduct very important advanced research. We will be posting slides that deal with concepts that you must understand but may never have been exposed to before. So, take notes if you must. Also, pause or replay this video as often as you need to. After the seminar, you may also want to Google some of the terms we used. Let's first take a look at some data that really helps focus on the problems we face today that pose a serious threat to the financial future we want for ourselves and our families. This is shocking, especially if you consider that our middle class consumer in this example had to set aside at least 15% of the household income to safely accumulate $5 million by age 65. And notice retirement income shown here is before taxes. So, this popular approach to long term financial planning has serious fundamental flaws that we will be examining. This pie chart shows a spending pattern that is typical for a middle class family. Note how tiny the savings slice of this pie chart is. Also, take note that half of all income goes towards paying taxes and debts. Here are some of the major issues facing consumers today. We are going to show how you can resolve these. First, let's introduce two fundamentally different strategic approaches to planning. We are naturally inclined to micromanage. Most times, we problem solve without considering all related issues. And with regards to long term financial planning, This may include using these techniques. Many micromanagement techniques are also widely promoted by the financial institutions and other professionals we rely on. As consumers, this is partly our fault, as we've been reluctant to invest the time it takes to seriously research important issues. A recent study in the United States showed that most consumers spend more time planning a vacation or the purchase of a car than they do on their financial goals. But times are changing. Now, the technology we have at our fingertips gives us easy access to innovative research material. Macromanagement, on the other hand, is about understanding and controlling all interdependent factors that affect the solution. So let's consolidate and focus in on four basic rules. Rule one, protect assets first, then look for upside potential. Here we are using the S&P 500 index for our example, shown here as the blue graph line, because it is one of the most widely recognized stock indices in the world. We see 100,000 invested for a 10-year period starting in August 1997. During this period, the S&P 500 index fluctuated with one major peak and one major valley on its way to almost full recovery by August 2007. The orange graph line also represents a $100,000 investment based on the S&P 500 index, but using a strategy that caps gains at 7% when the index is positive and locks in gains when the index is negative. As you can see, this strategy focuses first on loss protection and then loss protection and then upside potential. In other words, no peaks, but more importantly, no valleys. We are going to add a few more details to this already busy slide to highlight a very important point. Consider consumers whose pensions were tied to the S&P 500 index. Those who had to retire on August 2000 enjoyed tremendous gains. On the other hand, those who had to retire on August 2002 suffered major losses. This is a lesson on the dangers of market timing, which many experts label as a gamble. Rule 2. Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Compound interest performs wonders, particularly at high interest rates. However, in a low interest rate environment, inflation, which is in fact negative compound interest, can have catastrophic consequences. Rule 3. Time value of money needs no explaining. For compound interest to work its wonders, time is the key. So the more time you allow for compound interest to work, the better. In this illustration, to reach 1 million in savings, an individual with 40 years until retirement only needs to invest $298 a month, as opposed to an individual with just 5 years left who needs to invest $13,160 a month. And now we move to Rule 4, the least understood of all four rules, and the one that if you don't pay attention to can cost dearly in terms of reduced benefits. There are only three tax benefit options available when savings for the long term: tax deductible contributions, tax deferred growth, and tax free income. And You can only have two out of the three. How you choose greatly affects your future benefits. So let's take a look at a case study that brings all four rules into focus. For our case study, we have twin brothers, age 35, married with children. Their household income tax bracket, and savings patterns are all the same. We will call them Brother A and Brother B. Now, before I go any further, you will notice this case study we are using Trinidad and Tobago demographics for gross household income tax rate, and currency. Regardless of where you live in the Caribbean, this case study will still hold true. So as you follow along, just allow for this. Now, Brother A uses many of the micromanagement techniques we outlined earlier, while Brother B uses a macro management strategy called private equity banking. Let's first see how they fund their long-term financial programs, as well as how they manage their risks. Again, you should pause this video at each stage of the case study to better review the details, including the assumptions we are using. We see Brother A contributes the majority of his capital to his pension plan and earns a substantially greater employer match than Brother B. He also manages risk by purchasing term insurance that will remain in place until age 65. Brother B goes a different route and puts a majority of his savings towards capitalizing his private equity bank. One of the advantages he immediately receives is a permanent insurance benefit. We now move forward 30 years, and the brothers are age 65 and about to retire. So how did each of them do? Let's first take a look at Brother A. We see that there is substantial growth of his pension plan, which is where he focused his funding efforts. And because his pension contributions were tax deductible, he also enjoyed significant tax savings, all of which he reinvested back into his pension plan. As a result, his pension plan has almost $4.25 million that will fund his retirement. Let's move now to Brother B and see how he's done. We see significant differences in Brother B's capitalization plans, which appears to be significantly less than Brother A. In fact, Brother B has 125% less in his retirement program than Brother A. We expected Brother B to enjoy less tax savings because he contributed much less to his pension plan. Note that he does have $4,800,000 of insurance benefit, while Brother A's term insurance expired at his age 65. Let's see how this tale of these brothers end. Both brothers retire at age 65 and take the maximum amount of income each year, ensuring that they receive this income to age 100. So Brother A first. We see his after-tax income and note that all of his income came from taxable accounts. Now Brother B. And we see a startling result, and one that most would not have expected. Brother B has over 75% more after-tax income than Brother A. So what if Brother A wants the same amount of after-tax income as Brother B? Let's look at what would happen if Brother A withdraws from his retirement funds to enable him to match Brother B's after-tax income. The picture is not good. And it's obvious now who made the wiser decision. It is counterintuitive to accumulate a significantly larger amount of retirement funds but get significantly less benefits. So let's examine some key issues regarding Brother A's plan. Brother A micromanaged his long term financial plan by overfunding his pension fund to maximize his tax deductions, which include employer match and investment yields, managing risk by purchasing life insurance coverage that expired at age 65 when he retired, and using a spend down method for retirement income. Another option, annuitization, would have produced similar results. Most consumers are in Brothers A predicament and not even aware of the fundamental flaws of this planning. Also, savings institutions and insurance companies promote many of these planning techniques. But as I said before, as consumers, we bear some responsibility because too many of us want simple answers to complex issues. So, how did Brother B generate so much more income with 125% less in his retirement fund? He used private equity banking. It provided tax deferred growth and also allowed him to redirect funds that would have gone towards the cost of insurance and taxes into generating multiple benefits, including increased income. So, how did Brother B get access to some of the same techniques that the very wealthy have been using for generations? Well, he set up his private equity bank using a specially designed insurance contract. Now, once Brother B's bank is capitalized at his age 65, we can examine how he generates so much tax free income from it. To understand the two different income generating mechanisms at work here, we will reset each brother's retirement funds at age 65 to $1 million. Let's first examine how Brother A's spend down strategy works. It's very straightforward. Taxable withdrawals are made at the beginning of each year. The account balance is credited with interest, and at year end to arrive at the new account balance. We see that based on the amount being withdrawn, Brother A runs out of money in year 27. Now, let's examine Brother B's income withdrawal mechanism. As you can see, it is not as straightforward. This method for generating tax free income is known as arbitrage. Essentially, loans or withdrawals are made and the private equity bank account balance is used as collateral. This means that the private equity bank account balance is never actually used, so the entire amount earns compound interest each and every year. And since loans or withdrawals from insurance contracts are not reported as income on an income tax form, they remain tax free. Let me repeat that. Loans or withdrawals from insurance contracts are not reported as income on an income tax form, so they remain tax free. Finally, more bad news for Brother A. His retirement will be even worse than he realizes because of the effects of inflation. Brother B, on the other hand, will not be affected and he will continue to enjoy the lifestyle he was accustomed to. We will conclude this seminar with a few important notes. We took an oversimplified approach to applying the income tax rate solely for presentation purposes. And as mentioned earlier, even though our case study used demographics and currency for Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of where you live in the Caribbean, the outcome for each brother would be the same. Several best selling books have been written on private equity banking. Two of them are highlighted here. Also, note some of the people who became successful using private equity banking. We hope that you have found this video seminar to be informative. At the end of the day, it is important for consumers to take time and do diligent research. Once again, if you want a free consultation with a licensed advisor with private equity banking expertise, please visit our website and submit the online referral request form. We also ask you to share our website with individuals who you think might benefit. Thank you.